Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Whistle. My name's Eric, I'm a level 6 referee here in England and I take you on the day of the life of what it's like to be a grassroots referee. Today we are refereeing in the Gloucestershire Northern Senior League Division 2 and the match is Painswick FC versus Lidbrook Athletic. As you can see by the league table, it's relatively even. Painswick are sitting just inside the promotion places while Lidbrook are looking at a must-win to give themselves a chance of promotion. I've refereed Painswick a couple of times now and I've never refereed Lidbrook, so it should be an interesting game. If you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, please don't forget to like and subscribe and let's get into it. We are en route to the game. I feel nervous today and that is not usually me. I felt nervous when I used to play. I used to get nervous for every game, but since been refereeing, it's rare that I really feel kind of any sort of anxious energy, but today I do feel a bit nervous about the day and I'm unsure why, but I'm going to embrace it. I always think I perform better when I've got a little bit of anxious energy in me. Feels like it keeps me alert. Yeah, I'm really switched on, so I'm going to channel that today. I was thinking about the game and we've refereed Painswick a few times. They're a good side with some young lads, so you know they like to play as much as they can. They're quite fit up and down the pitch, and I've never refereed Lidbrook before, so this is brand new to me. I don't have any information about them other than what I can go off on the league table. Obviously they're quite close in the league, so Painswick are obviously third, Lidbrook are pushing for those playoff places, and so I'll be keeping that in mind for the game, right? It is actually kind of a big game. There's only 4 games left for Lidbrook, so these are must-win matches if they want to get promoted. So I've got to keep that in mind for today. It may well, you know, be a very intense game, and that's obviously something I've got to be ready for. If I remember correctly, last time I refereed Painswick at their place, I wasn't able to film the match, but the pitch was really below par. So it resorted to a bit more long ball, so it may be the same again today. But ultimately, just going to go out and enjoy it. Make sure we have a good time, do our best to put in a good performance. Should be good. Anyway, I am going to listen to some music, drive to the game, and I'll see you guys when we arrive at the game. Just met with both managers. Both teams are really young, like a lot of lads in their late teens, early 20s, so hopefully should be a good game of football, hence why they're probably up at the top end of the league. The pitch is way better than it was when I last refed here. Yeah, they've done some great work on it, so big credit to Painswick for their pitch. Also, a few of you have asked me what whistle I'm using. So today, I'm using the Acme Tornado 2000. Lovely whistle. If you want to buy it, I'll leave a link in the description. I think I bought mine off Amazon for like 6-7 quid. But yeah, great whistle, love it. What a game. Lidbrook came out the 2-1 winners. There was a last minute goal by Painswick which was chalked off for offside. Very controversial. So we'll get to watch that back. Gave a penalty, 7 yellow cards. I had probably about 3 penalty decisions. The game got very heated towards the end. But all in all, obviously we'll see on the review, but I genuinely felt like I refed the game really well for my level. Yeah, I felt like I managed the game really well. It was a game that absolutely could have got out of hand and it didn't. Yeah, and sometimes that's like 90% of the battle when you're refereeing grassroots football. The game was kind of how I expected it to be. It was 2 relatively young teams, very physical. It was a fast game. It was good though. I enjoyed it, yeah, until the afters at the end, but we'll go through that. But all in all, a successful Saturday in my opinion. And yeah, let's jump into the review. As I said in the car, it was a good game. There is a controversial ending to this game, so make sure you stick around to see that at the end. So about 3 minutes in, Painswick get a really good chance to go 1-0 up. Following the goal kick that comes from that shot, they get another chance just 30 seconds later. And then following that chance, from Lidbrick's goal kick, they have an opportunity to score as well. You'll see that as they're heading into the box, one of the Lidbrick players goes down following a small bit of contact. I offered to help him up off the floor, but he didn't want the help for whatever reason, because he said he was dragged down onto the floor. As we can see, that didn't really happen. And this was actually a theme with this player throughout the game. He was not outright rude, but he was difficult to deal with for most of the game. So when something like this happens and it's clear that a player, you know, doesn't want to have like a positive interaction with you, it's best just to kind of not interact with them as much as you can. No point trying to, talk to people that don't want your help. We tried to be polite, we tried to help him up off the floor, but he didn't fancy it. So we'll do our best not to interact any more than we absolutely need to with that player for the rest of the game. I would love to hear all of your opinions on this one. This caused a lot of controversy on the pitch, and you'll see why in just a second. So the ball's bouncing around, and then the Painswick and the Lidbrick player both challenge for the ball. From where I am, you'll see I've got an absolutely perfect view of the challenge. The Lidbrick players were claiming that the Painswick player had kicked him in the chest. As you can see from the freeze frame, he doesn't. He gets all of the ball. However, it is kind of high up, right? It's around kind of the midriff to the lower chest area. But he does win the ball. There's not a lot of force. Do you guys think this is a foul? Am I being too lenient on the type of challenges I'm allowing? For me, it didn't seem like a foul. He wins the ball. There's no stud showing towards the player. There was nothing, in my opinion, dangerous about it other than maybe the height of the challenge, but I wasn't really sure. I didn't think it was a foul. I'm still unsure looking at it now whether it is. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you think that this is a foul? But either way, let's take a look at what happens right after. So Painswick go on the attack, the goalkeeper parries it, and then it's a poor clearance from the defender. The striker then gets his foot to the ball and the defender kicks him straight in the foot. Very, very clear penalty from where we are. And again, we're in a great position to see this happen. You'll see the Lidbrick players complaining about the foul in the middle of the pitch because obviously they think it's a foul, but we tell him to move away and we just process the penalty as we normally would. We then get the club assistant shouting across, telling me it was a foul in the middle. So we run over to have a chat with him and explain to him, if you're going to be the assistant for me, then you cannot be shouting about decisions. He then says something else, so we show him a yellow card for dissent, and then we come back over to deal with the penalty.
Good boy, Craig!
The Lidbrick goalkeeper makes a great save, and unfortunately Painswick cannot capitalise on the penalty chance. So following the corner, the keeper lumps it upfield. Now, the pitch was very, very firm, and so if you haven't noticed already, the ball is bouncing a lot. So as this ball comes in, it's very clear that we're not really going to be able to get close enough to play as that ball comes down. So you'll see as the goalkeeper kicks it, we start off just on the halfway line, right on the edge of the centre circle. It then becomes apparent to me that there could be a challenge between the Lidbrick striker and the Painswick goalkeeper. Now, we're not going to be able to get close enough to have the best view because the ball's transitioned so quickly. And so what I've done is I've just tried to get wide so that I can at least get a good angle on what's happening. If you can't get close, then at least, do your best to get a good angle. And then at least that way you've got some element of a good view on what's about to happen. So you'll see that we drift off way left to get a view. You'll see that we've now actually got a really great view on what's happening. If we were more central here, near where the Painswick player is, we'd have a really terrible view of what's happening. So if you can't get close, get a good angle. That's what I've been learning. About 10 to 12 minutes pass and nothing really happens. And then Lidbrick get this chance to go 1-0 up. We have our first yellow card of the game following a Painswick corner. So the ball comes out and the Painswick player miscontrols it. The Lidbrick player beats the next player and then he brings him down. Now, this is not a reckless tackle by any means for a yellow card. The reason I've given a yellow card here is because I believe that it's stopping a promising attack. Obviously, it's a quick counter-attack after a corner. If he beats this lad, there's potential for a 1v1 from the pass. And so for me, this is definitely a promising attack, and that's why I've shown the yellow card. Shortly after this, Painswick concede a corner, and Lidbrook make it 1-0. Following the kickoff, there's a quick turnover of possession, and Lidbrook have a chance to go 2-0 up.
Stay thin. Good, come. Speed, look at speed.
Oh my god, think one!
Oh!
So the Lidbrook player just nicks it in front of the Painswick player, and so we have to make a real sprint to get into a good position. We break off left, the Lidbrook player shoots, hits the post, and then following the clearance, he commits a foul on the Painswick defender. Painswick then pick up the ball in their own half and have a great opportunity to equalise. Lidbrook go on the attack, and there's a foul committed by the Painswick player.
He's off! Yeah, no! Excellent!
You'll see the Painswick player deliberately pull the Lidbrook player back, causing him to go down. We then call the lad in and say, don't worry, it's not a yellow, I just want to have a chat. And we tell him you need to be very careful about pulling the shirt deliberately. And I explain the only reason that this is not a yellow card is because he wasn't really going anywhere. He was running sideways, not, breaking in towards goal. So that's why it's not a yellow card, but to be very careful. You'll then see the Lidbrook player coming in saying that, it should be a yellow card. Equally, that player's been getting fouled a lot. So I just explained to him that, he's not quite going on the attack. It's not a yellow, but I'll be keeping an eye on it. Turns out the lad that I'm chatting to used to be a referee, and a half decent one at that. And so that is probably why he was trying his luck. He definitely knew what he was speaking about, but it wasn't quite a yellow card. Just before half time, Painswick would get another great chance to make it 1-1.
No, get in! Bam!
And that is half time. So a few decisions made in the first half. So obviously had a penalty decision, a few fouls in the middle, we've had 2 yellow cards. However, it does not stop there. The second half brings quite a bit more. So we get this 50-50 in the middle of the pitch, and we get a few different reactions. So the 2 players jump in, we take a second to think about a decision, and then we give a free kick to Painswick. So as this ball comes bouncing in, we stay very, very focused, knowing full well that obviously 2 players are challenging together, so we need to be, very, very focused on what's about to happen. You'll see that when we slow it down, that the Painswick player just gets his head to it first and heads it onto the Lidbrook player's shoulder. The Lidbrook player then goes into the back of the Painswick player. So for me, the Painswick player has actually headed it onto the Lidbrook player. The Lidbrook player has not played the ball. So for me, he's jumped into his back, which is then a foul. So that's why we've given the foul. Even though the Lidbrook player does make contact with the ball, he hasn't actually played it. The Painswick player just headed it onto him. So the Lidbrook goalkeeper punts the ball upfield, and Lidbrook have a great chance to make it 2-0. Painswick midfielder picks up the ball and breaks towards the edge of the box. There are shouts for handball, but we wave them away because his arm's in a natural position. But then the Lidbrook player runs straight into the back of him, causing a foul, and so we give a free kick to Painswick on the edge of the box. Great save from the Lidbrook goalkeeper, and it's just a corner to Painswick. Here we get our second yellow card of the game. Well, second yellow card for a player on the pitch. Let's have a watch.
Get his face! Push it! Good! How many? Good, Brett. How many again?
So the ball gets played out to the fullback. Not a great one. He then takes a poor touch, loses it, and then deliberately leaves his leg out to trip the Liberec player. This again is obviously a promising attack because there's a quick turnover possession in the final third, so we show a yellow card. You'll see that he kicks the ball away. However, because we've got to go through the caution and procedure of writing it down in the notebook, etc., he's not technically delaying the restart, but we do have a quiet word with him to basically say don't do things that are stupid like that because you may get yourself sent off, which is not good. So there's a small tussle in the midfield, and then Painswick break and make it 2-1. You'll see that a few Liberec players put their arm up for offside, but the assistant, rightly so, keeps his flag down as he is onside. And this is an important thing to note for later on in the video. Liberec then get the biggest chance of the game to extend their lead to 3-1, but somehow cannot convert.
Man, come and play!
Man on!
Go on!
We then get this high foot situation on the edge of the box. So we give the free kick, and you'll see a lot of Painswick players coming in saying that he's not touched him, it's not a foul, etc, etc. We explain that there doesn't need to be contact for it to be a foul, and that his foot is high, and so, you know, it could be classed as dangerous play. There is no contact. There were no studs showing, so I didn't give a yellow card, but you'll see them all complaining that, yeah, it's not a foul because he hasn't touched him, and I explain he doesn't need to make contact for it to be a foul. And because I know that he's not touched him, that's why I'm not checking on the player, because I know he doesn't have a head injury. To be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, you could say that it could warrant a yellow card for the other player for simulation if you know there's been no contact made. I just don't think that's really like expected. If it is a foul, but then he's exaggerating the contact, could you argue a yellow card? I think it's probably a wider discussion for the whole game, as we see it a lot, right? You'll see a foul and then an exaggerated reaction from the player to try and get more out of the referee. I didn't think about issuing a yellow at the time for kind of, I guess it would come under simulation, would it? I don't know. It's a difficult one. But it is definitely a foul. There is no contact made with the head though, so that's why we don't issue a yellow card to the Painswick player. You'll see as well that my arm is above my head, and that's because I'm signalling for an indirect free kick. If there's a foul that doesn't include contact, then it is an indirect free kick. We're now getting into the business end of the game. There's less than 10 minutes left. Liberec was starting to take a little bit longer with throw-ins, things like that. And so obviously being a goal up with not much time left, it can be a real opportunity for players to delay the restart. And so we make sure that we're on top of that to ensure that we can play the game smoothly until the end. Here we get a situation where the ball goes out for a Painswick throw, and you'll see the Liberec number 12, throw the ball behind his back. It's small, but it is an example of delaying the restart and something that just, I just absolutely hate seeing. Like, it's just absolutely needless. Just give the guy the ball so we can play. So we show him a yellow card, and that will come under delaying the restart. The main reason I did this was to show the other players that I will not condone time wasting towards the end of the game, and to kind of discourage it early so it doesn't get out of hand towards the end. So with about 5 or 6 minutes left, we get a penalty appeal from Painswick. For me, this is not a penalty, and as I saw it, the Liberec player just gets his body in between the Painswick player and the ball. He doesn't trip him over, he just simply shields the ball out of play. So for me, this is not a penalty. So with less than 2 minutes on the clock, Painswick get this corner, and you'll see what happens next.
Don't drop a ball.
What a save!
Fuck.
He was stood on the goal line, though. He was stood on the goal line.
So this is a complicated one, but ultimately, I will just say that the decision is incorrect. It should have been a goal for Painswick, and I'll explain why. So as that ball comes in, we get a Painswick shot. It's impossible for me to tell from the video, from this angle, but the striker next to the goalkeeper may well actually be in an offside position here, but we don't know, and that's not the decision that the club assistant has given. The goalkeeper saves it, and then as that ball comes in, you'll see the club assistant flags immediately, and puts his flag up before the ball's even gone into the back of the net. It then bounces around a little bit, and Painswick managed to get the ball in the back of the net. I then see the flag, So we head over to have a chat with him. Naturally, Painswick are furious. Of course, you've just had a last-minute equaliser chalked off. So we go over to the club assistant to basically understand why he's put his flag up. So you'll probably see by the way that he gestures his hands that he explains that when the shot came in, the striker was behind the goalkeeper, and obviously there was a defender on the line, but the goalkeeper becomes the second to last defender. So he said that he's come back from an offside position to then poke the ball in. With, 16 people in the box, I could not be 100% sure that he was not telling the truth or that he was not mistaken. So for me, I had to go to decision. He hadn't given me a reason in that game to think that he was cheating or that he wasn't capable of giving the offside. He saw what he saw, he gave it. I didn't have a reason to go against him, and so I've given it as well. It's a shame because it looks to me like he is onside, and so it should be 2-2. So the Painswick number 4 then calls that club assistant a cheat, and this is where I make another mistake. So we show the number 4 a yellow card for dissent. Some people would argue this is a red card, but not for me, not against a club assistant. However, this should be a sin bin because it's dissent and an act towards an official. Even though it's a club assistant, this should be a sin bin. I didn't give it. I just gave a yellow card. Yeah, and that was wrong. I should have issued a sin bin there as well. We then tell the players that are crowding me to move away. And so I isolate the Painswick captain and I explain to him the decision that we've made. Naturally, he disagrees, as he's within his rights to, because it's not correct. But we explain that whether it's correct or not, we cannot be reacting in the manner that we've reacted. We then get another yellow card shortly after for Lidbrook. So as the ball comes in, obviously it goes out of play, and then the Lidbrook player tries to kick the ball away, but it bounces off the club assistant. However, it still is delaying the restart, and so we issue a yellow card. Lidbrook then get a free kick on the edge of their own box, and we have to give out another yellow card right before full time. So the ball comes in, and the Lidbrook player goes down holding his back after the ball has gone out, so we stop play. The Painswick captain then tells me to obviously because he's frustrated that he believes the guy's time wasting, even though I've stopped the watch, and so we issue a yellow card for dissent and sin bin as well. Now, a big mistake that you'll see me make here is I'm so wrapped up in writing down the caution, I don't see the pushing and shoving that's going on behind me. If you're working as a team of 3, this wouldn't be an issue because the assistant referee would be right there to help you. However, because I'm on my own, I need to be on my toes all the time. So thankfully this doesn't boil over, but it's a terrible habit to have your back to things that could be happening. So make sure you've always got your eyes on what could potentially boil over. And that is full time. But it's not the end. Let's watch.
Come on, baby! Another one!
So the Painswick player squirts his water at the back of the assistant manager of Lidbrook. I was thinking about this. I don't know if I'm supposed to issue a yellow card after that. I guess I don't even know what would come under. I think it's just like unsporting behaviour unspecified, maybe. So maybe it should be a second yellow after the final whistle. I'm unsure. I didn't give one. So if you think I should have, let me know. Yeah, we're all learning here. So maybe this should be a second yellow, but obviously there's absolutely no need for it. Thankfully, we stop it escalating as I say to the Lidbrook club assistant, don't worry, I will deal with it. Just walk away, I'll deal with it.
That idiot was talking to you at the end. Anyway, thanks for that, mate. All right, okay, that was a good game. In fairness, if we
Do you want me to explain what happened at the end?
No, it doesn't matter. You made the decision. The fact of the matter is, if we took our chances in the first 5 minutes, in the first 15 minutes, three chances and a penalty, if we took them, we'd win the game. We can't blame you, we can't blame them. But at the end of the day, we missed our chances. So, it's one of them things. I'll see you in the bar, Eric, all right?
Yeah, see you in the bar.
I just want to give a massive credit to the Painswick manager. Obviously, if you've been following the vlogs, you'll know that we've had a sticky situation or two recently with managers, assistant managers, things like that. The Painswick manager was a real gent. He came over after the game to basically apologise for some of the ways that I've been spoken to. And then I asked him at the end of that chat if he would like me to explain to him the decision at the end. You'll then obviously hear what he says. We have a real good chat. And he says he'll see me in the bar. So just a real big credit to the Painswick manager. Every time I've refereed, he's been a cracking guy. And I think he sets a real good example for the young lads that play for him. But that is the end of this week's vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We had quite a bit to cover this week. As always, it's never dull, and I'll see you next Sunday.